I've got a daughter growing up in this country, and I want her to inherit a nation where citizenship means something. Because if anyone can vote in American elections without proving they're an American citizen, then we don't really have elections anymore. People should just be appointed, I guess. I don't know how it would work out. We have a system Washington is refusing to secure. And now President Trump is telling Congress, pass the SAVE Act first, or the rest of the agenda waits. That's the fight, not procedure, not paperwork. It is citizenship, sovereignty, and trust. So President Trump, this is coming from the White House X page. All voters must show photo ID. All voters must show proof of citizenship. No mail-in ballots except for illness, disability, military, or travel. No men in women's sports. I think I'm okay with that. No transmission mutilization surgery on children. Do any of those things sound really radical? I can't understand how anyone would be upset about any of this. As someone with a daughter, I don't want Kareem Abdul-Jabbar playing on her basketball team or against her. I don't want to pay for any of these surgeries. The mail-in ballots, I'm okay with only military, disabled. The show of proof of citizenship, well, I think you have to do that to open a bank account. I think you have to show ID to mail something. Go to the post office. Go to the UPS. All voters must show photo ID. Go try to buy cigarettes or maybe a little bit of alcohol without ID. But of course, there is this argument that ID or getting ID for some reason is like racist, right? But Trump just sent this message as simple to Congress. You want to move the rest of the agenda? You want to fund other parts of the government? Some of these clowns are wanting to send money to Ukraine before passing the SAVE Act. And I'm not good with this. I'm not good with it at all. And, this was the president coming out of a meeting yesterday that he had with Senate Republicans, and he's got Rick Scott. Rick Scott's been really trying to push this. I think he used to be the governor of Florida. Didn't really have any problems down there, but I'm agreement with everything about this.
I think we had a really great meeting, and we're very proud of the party. We like our leader. We like everybody really in the room. I don't like a few people, but that's okay. I think you know who they are. But I'll give you that information someday.
So whenever he says he likes the leader, there's a lot of us that don't agree with the president on this. And I'm one of them. And I don't know how much of this is just the president trying to be nice. But John Thune, if you notice, everyone is wearing the Republican red tie, except old John Thune right above me right here. He's got the blue tie on, which for some of you would be, that vote blue no matter who. And I'm just wondering when we get some real change from Senator John Thune, because I, for one, am calling for his resignation, calling for his removal. I hope someone primaries this guy. Now, there's an article coming out right here, and this is very interesting, and it's just another way to sort of, I would say, skin the cat. The Postmaster General is telling Congress that the United States Postal Service will not deliver mail-in ballots to states that refuse to comply with President Trump's election integrity executive order. Another way to skin a cat. If these states don't want to play, they don't want to turn over their ballots, they don't want to turn over and, respond to election integrity, United States Postal Service, that's federal. They're just not going to deliver them. They're not going to send them in the mail. And I think this is absolutely brilliant because the postmaster, the last time I checked, was appointed by the president. I think he works for the president. And I am 1,000% behind all of this. You don't want to play the game? Well, you don't get the ballot in the mail. And I'm sure some of you are probably not upset by this because if you were able to go and vote, why wouldn't you exercise that right? And, if you did want to buy a car to go drive to vote, you would have to show some ID. So another thing that came out here regarding the SAVE Act, and the SAVE Act is the theme of the moment. I don't know, but I really hope we get something passed before the November midterms. But the days are winding down, and apparently John Thune just sent the senators on recess. They're going away for about 3.5 weeks, right? So they're away, but he did leave just enough members of the Senate to stay there so that the president could not put forward any recess appointments. But this is old Chucky Schumer here. He's lashing out at Trump, calling the Save American Act an all-out assault on voting rights. Is there anyone that feels threatened by having to show ID? Because I can't understand why anyone would think that this is a bad idea. It doesn't make sense to me.
The GOP will continue going along with Trump's all-out assault on voting rights with legislation like the SAVE Act. If my colleagues across the aisle have any sense at all, they ought to grill Trump on affordability, on his failed war with Iran, on his effort to hold American national security hostage, and all his other policies that are hurting the American people.
He sounds really impassioned, doesn't he? Good old Chuck Schumer. He's always good for a soundbite, but that wasn't it. Maybe you should go and, throw some raw burgers around on the grill. But old Chuck Schumer is not one of my big fans. Now, I ventured into the blue sky, and the blue sky is sort of this alternative to X. And Forbes magazine has posted over there, Trump claimed passing the Save America Act is a national emergency. And I can see, in my opinion, how it's a national emergency. Because why should we allow people that shouldn't be in our country to vote? Why should we allow people that shouldn't be in our country to decide who the most powerful head of office is? That's my opinion here. So Forbes magazine, not a fan by any means of the president, but Trump is refusing to sign housing affordability until Congress passes the voter ID law. Now, for me, this is a double-edged sword. You don't pass the housing affordability, but you do deport the 25 million people that are here illegally. Magically, the housing crisis is resolved. And I'm not sure if you think that, but you open up 25 million houses, and you're probably going to have a major drop in housing costs. Apartments, townhomes, rentals. There's going to be a lot of stuff that's floating around out there. So is it a national emergency? In my opinion, it is. Would getting rid of all them fix part of the housing crisis? I agree. I think it should. And I'm backing the president 1,000% on this. Love to get your opinion down below in the comments. Now, here is some of the memes from Blue Sky. And you kind of have to run at a very secretive level on there to not get banned because they hate dissenting opinions. The SAVE Act is deceitful legislation. The GOP aren't trying to save America. They're trying to overthrow it. How do you get to the point of overthrowing America by only allowing voters that should be here? That's how confused some of these people are. And I don't want to speak ill of someone that I don't know, but I really don't want to know anyone that has this room temperature IQ. Now, Congressman Brandon Gill over on X, I recommend you follow this guy. He looks like Superman. He's responding to a post, and he says, how exactly can Congress allow somebody to take an oath to defend the Constitution of the United States if they openly advocate for eradicating the country? And this comes from an article here, or a post by some pro-America guy. I know that sounds horrible. And this is the action of the first of many. We will stop until universally fully divest from all forms of settler colonial violence. This is the one of these New York City socialists that won a congressional primary, Dareliza Avilia Chevalier, sounds very French to me, says, we can't, this settler colonial violence, horrible. Divestment is not an incrementalist goal. true divestment, nothing short of total collapse of the university structure, and the American empire itself. So she is actually calling for the collapse of the American empire, but she just got elected to represent members in New York City. Is that who you want, representing you? Now, this is going to set the world on fire. There was a meme by the Daily Wire. I think we should expand welfare programs. Okay. That was from 1990. 2026, you have, Ilhan Omar. I hate America and 9/11 was actually good. Allahu Akbar. Elon Musk, the most rich man in the world, and he is African American, says anyone who hates America must be removed from America. Is there anyone that disagrees with this? If you hate America so much, why stay? Why would you ever stay? And I want you to read some of the replies here. Nick Sorter, I too support deporting the entire Democrat Party. Somebody said, remember when you pretended to care about free speech? Well, I think Elon Musk does care about free speech. And he cares so much about free speech that he bought X and allows people like us to have dissenting opinions and allows us to be on the platform. Whereas Blue Sky, I have to run this alternative account, and I'll show you my alternative account. Blue Wave 2028. Blue Wave 2028 is my account on Blue Sky. And I have this profile picture here. Stolen black breast milk built this nation. So I'm trying to blend in there. That's me in an alternative universe over on Blue Sky. Now, this is the meat and potatoes of what's going on right now. And this is from the Financial Times. And this is an article. Donald Trump faces off with angry Republican caucus. Apparently in the meeting with John Thune and all the other Republicans, Bill Cassidy, soon to be former Senator Bill Cassidy out of New York, out of Louisiana. I said New York because he sounds like a socialist, got up and made a move to go, intervene with the president. Secret Service, I hope that they, accosted him and zip-tied him and threw in the back of a van and maybe sent him down to the river. When there are supply constraints on commodities, prices surge. You saw it with fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded, and you're seeing it currently right now. And you know what else is a limited commodity? Gold. They mine it out of the ground. And when it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't just print it off, and they can't just produce it. Birch Gold Group is who I trust to help. Now through May 29th, Birch Gold is giving a first-time gold buyer a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. For details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, I want you to text my last name, Dykes, to the number 989-898. But Trump is facing off with these angry Republicans. And these angry Republicans are starting to really show who works for America and who doesn't work for America. They're also starting to show who is more worried about votes from people that shouldn't be here than actual citizens. And that is the part that really bothers me. I can't understand how anyone can consider themselves an elected official, a conservative, a Republican in America, but they want to accept votes from people that shouldn't be here. It says, welcome to the White House. Watch, let's dive into the explosive rift between Trump and the GOP. I think there is a MAGA party and there's the Republican Party. And I hate to say it, but I'm a member of the MAGA Party. I'll vote Republican over Democrat on every level. But the MAGA Party seems to be more America first, and that's what I'm aligning with. You can see here New York City Mayor Zohran Mamdani's show of electoral force. All of his people that he endorsed in New York City did get elected. And that should really scare the hell out of a lot of people, because what's happening is coming to a city near you. Any of these sanctuary cities, that's exactly what's going to happen. Now, there's this part of this article here. Is Trump's grip on his own party beginning to loosen? I don't believe so. I believe some of you that are watching are starting to realize you can't worship some of these politicians. All they're going to do is disappoint you. You can support them on certain issues, but don't fall in love with these people. Let's keep moving here. Now, this is one that's really going to upset you, and it upsets me. A judge that Joe Biden appointed, or someone appointed, or someone signed the pen, blocks the Trump's Department of Justice from challenging New Jersey's sanctuary policies that shield illegal alien criminals. I'm going to leave that up there so you can see that, because this is bizarro world. This is clown land. Why would a sitting judge in the United States block the Department of Justice from removing illegal alien, and I'm going to use the big C word here, criminals? Why would that happen? Why would any judge that was supposed to be, nonpartisan, that's why they wear the black robe, why would they try to stop criminals from being deported? It doesn't make sense, but the article is absolutely amazing. And there's a great question down here. Should local governments be allowed to set sanctuary policies that limit cooperation with federal immigration authorities? I like the term federal immigration authority, and that supersedes any of these New Jersey cities. But it's getting worse. And this is the Bill Cassidy guy. He's the Senate Republican from Louisiana that apparently, he got into a shouting match with Trump, and I'm sure he's got a job offer waiting for him over at CNN or MS Now, or maybe him and Tucker Carlson and Thomas Massey and Marjorie Taylor Greene will go on a little bit of a vacation, maybe a little boat cruise, the boats and hoes, that kind of thing. But this is the reason that Cassidy is voted out, is because he failed his constituents in Louisiana. He failed people across America, and it's getting worse, Next article coming up, there's another Obama-appointed judge that just struck down Trump's order requiring proof of citizenship to vote in U.S. elections. Are you starting to see the concurrent theme, the denominator for all of you math whizzes? That's the number at the bottom that stays the same and everything on top changes. So the people that are trying to prevent illegals from being removed have predominantly been Biden and Obama justices, Biden and Obama judges. Biden and Obama continuously put these people in office to really hamstring any president following them. And I hate to say it, but the Democrat Party did a great job of preparing for the next Republican president to fail. They put in so many damn roadblocks. And voter ID, I never thought would be a roadblock. Go try to buy some alcohol. Go try to buy anything without voter ID or without an ID, and tell them that, an Obama-appointed judge said that you didn't need that, right? What we're seeing is we're at a point where there's no more pretending election integrity is some side issue that can wait until later. And that's why Washington, D.C. is nervous. That's why I would say a lot of these Democrat offices, these Democrat Congress men and women are nervous, because Trump is not just asking Congress for another bill. He's forcing Congress to choose between two things: protect the vote and protect the system that benefits from the confusion. And that is what's going on. And, I want to explain why this is much bigger than one piece of legislation. This is about whether citizenship still means something in America. This is about whether Washington believes the people who choose the government should actually be citizens. Would you ever allow someone to just come into your house and work in your breaker panel unless, they were an electrician? Would you allow someone to come work on the pipes unless they were an actual plumber? No, I wouldn't. I really wouldn't, because I would have to call someone else to fix that. And this is the same thing. I don't want people deciding who the most powerful man in the world is, or woman, the president, unless they have that little bit of a license called a voter ID. And this is about whether Republicans are finally willing to stop talking about election integrity and actually put it first, because they're not showing me anything right now. Here's another article here. This is also from Breitbart. This Obama appointed judge rules Trump lacked authority to change rules for the election. Well, Trump hasn't changed the rules. He's trying to get the Save America Act passed. But why? I mean, these judges, I'm sure they've been elected to something. It brings me to the thoughts that maybe they didn't care that the people that voted for them were citizens or were illegal criminals. You know, it should be a felony, and I think it very well could be a felony soon. Now, here is this here. Naturally, she's based in Boston. Her name is Denise Casper. She was an Obama appointee, has just issued a sweeping order that bans the Trump administration from implementing most of its federal ID executive orders, including proof of citizenship. The ironic part is when you go to a courthouse or a federal courthouse, they check your citizenship to get in. They really do. And the other thing is, in order to be a federal judge, I would think you would have to be an American citizen. But maybe we should get rid of that. Maybe we should just roll out the empathy red carpet and say anyone that wants to be a citizen or anyone that wants to be a judge can be a judge. April 3rd, 2025, all of these different states are filing against the president of the United States, and they're mostly blue states: California, Nevada, Massachusetts, Arizona, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Hawaii, of course, Obama's birthplace. We know that. We just can't figure out when, what day, or how. Illinois, Maine, Maryland, Michigan, Minnesota, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Rhode Island, Vermont, and Wisconsin. They brought this action against the executive branch. That's who's suing the president, the Trump administration, to allow illegals to vote in blue states. It's really kind of funny, isn't that? Really kind of funny that a federal judge using all of these states, blue states, to stop the president from doing that. Now, here's another article here. The court is barring the DOJ's fraud check of, wait for it, Michigan voters. You know, Dearborn, that's probably the most patriotic American city in America. I think we should move the Statue of Liberty, the Liberty Bell, the Washington Monument, and build maybe even move Mount Rushmore to Dearborn, Michigan, because it is the bastion of freedom. But apparently a federal judge, once again, has blocked the Department of Justice from checking Michigan's voter registration rolls. Now, the President of the United States has said that they are going to cut off federal funding to these states. They are not going to allow mail-in ballots to these states if they don't comply. If you don't play, you don't get paid. And I like that. That's a new theme that I'm coming out with. Now, California, this takes me over to California. We're taking a flyover tour of all the radical blue states. Steve Hilton, Republican governor candidate there, is vowing to investigate the old Wuhan lockdowns if elected California governor. This in itself is amazing. I would love to see a Republican governor that had this kind of cojones, but I am apprehensive to believe, after what we just saw happen to Pratt in the mayor's race there, I'm very pessimistic about anything happening with this. I love what Steve Hilton is doing. I personally don't like the idea of having a person that was not born in America holding any elected office because of the way that we're seeing stuff with Ilhan and the rest of the squad and Mamdani. So that's where I push back on Steve Hilton, but he does seem to be an exception to the rule. So, I'd like to get your thoughts down below. What do you think about old Steve Hilton trying to do this? And more importantly, do you think the people that go to Bohemian Grove, the deep staters, do you think they would allow that? Another thing that's happening right now, and it's very ironic, and it should make all of you happy. Trump's approval ratings are increasing as the peace talks advance in Iran. Now, there is rumors, there's news coming out right now that Iran launched some missiles at a container ship this morning. So, does that put the entire MOU Iranian peace deal in jeopardy? I think it does. I think it puts in a lot of jeopardy. But hopefully, the President of the United States can get this together. We can get these other neighboring countries over there to come together, hold Iran accountable, and if we can, you're going to see the gas prices dropping. Apparently, they've already dropped 60 to 80 cents per gallon in locations around the country. Now, we've got another one here, and this bothers me as well. This is Republican Governor Mike DeWine. He's in Ohio, and he is soon to be replaced. I think Vivek Ramaswamy is probably going to win that unless there's some funny business, and the funny business could be started and ended right with him. Just in, Ohio Republican Governor Mike DeWine has vetoed a bill requiring photo ID for mail-in voting in Ohio. Why do you think this guy would do that? Why would a sitting governor not want photo ID for the race that is about to happen? And he is, in quote, a Republican. Now, I don't think he's done anything to have any conservative values or anything to do with holding what I would say Ohio to any conservative standards. But on paper, they call those rhinos Republicans in name only. Oh, Mike DeWine. I hope all of you call his office. This is a clip here from John Kennedy. Now, I like John Kennedy. He's got a lot of one-liners, and his one-liners are good. The one thing I disagree with him on is that he is not pushing to nuke the filibuster, and for some reason, he's always liked sending money to Ukraine.
I would like to talk for a few minutes about the SAVE Act. I'm a co-sponsor. I support it unconditionally. The SAVE Act.
Just not enough to nuke the filibuster. Unconditionally, just not enough to nuke the filibuster.
Act, as you well know, Mr. President, is really pretty simple. It's about our sanctity of voting in America. It says if you want to register to vote in America, you have to prove that you're a citizen of America. And once you're registered, it says when you're voting in a federal election, in all instances, you have to prove you are who you say you are in order to vote. Very simple. Now, there are other provisions that may or may not be added by amendment, but those are the guts of the SAVE Act.
Those are the guts of the SAVE Act. It sounds really racist to require ID. It sounds really racist to do that. Voter ID, oh boy. We got Nancy Mace, and she chimes in. She ran for governor in South Carolina. She lost that primary. Nancy Mace has been a pretty decent congresswoman. She's done some crazy stuff, wearing her pajamas and driving across the country, but whatever. But she brings up a question here. Who is paying off John Thune, asking for a friend? Now, there's a lot of us that are asking the same question, and I'm glad Nancy Mace, I believe she was a Marine veteran. She is asking us exactly what we have been asking everyone. Who is paying off John Thune? Now, there's a very important reply here by the Data Republican. Data Republican, you have to follow her on X. Great account. It says John Thune is paid off by the Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce is a very powerful lobbying organization. So, let me ask you this. I don't know how much truth to that there is, but the very next post there, reply, China, the same people paying off McConnell. Mitch McConnell's wife is an heir to the largest shipping company in the world, and his wife is Chinese. So yeah, that's a conflict of interest there. And, It's hilarious that the House will not STF you about the Senate. You're not a senator. Your opinion means nothing. Well, Lauren, unfortunately, her opinion does mean something, and we need to get to the bottom of this. Who is John Thune working for? I'm not sure. Good old Chip Roy has never missed his chance for a soundbite.
2 years ago, when I worked to draft this legislation, I worked intently with a number of folks who are currently in the administration in the White House. I worked with Senator Mike Lee, worked with my colleagues here, Cleta Mitchell, one of the most highly respected election lawyers in the nation. And we drafted a simple bill, and it's not complicated. The American people understand it, and that's why it's so important. Only American citizens should vote in American elections.
That's a great line from Chip Roy. If he would have been more pro-America, he might have had a better chance in Texas for that attorney general spot. But, Chip Roy, not always been a fan of the president. I'll just say that. He was a big Ron DeSantis guy. I think he was looking for a cabinet appointment there. Senator Rand Paul has come out and the president just posted this on X just a few minutes ago. The Senate just changed its vote. The Senate just changed its vote on Iran from 50 to 48 against to 50 to 47 for. This is after the meeting yesterday with the president. Rand Paul, Bill Cassidy changed. Thank you to Leader John Thune, Lindsey Graham, Berta Moreno, and all. This vote puts Iran on notice. And I'll have you to see here, good old Rand Paul, right here, my hope is to give President Trump more space and leverage. Do you think Rand Paul did this just because he saw what happened to Thomas Massie? That's what I believe. Rand Paul's a very good opportunist, and he's really come out of the weeds trying to bring Fauci, bringing Fauci and subpoenaing him. But now the president has full authority to continue everything that needs to be done in Iran. And Rand Paul, the Trump train slowed down just enough for him to jump on it. Now, last but not least, this comes back to everything that happened yesterday. Trump shouts down Cassidy in this tense Senate lunch. I really hope that we get the SAVE Act passed. I don't know why all of these rhino Republicans have not tried to do something sooner, but that's exactly what has occurred. I'd love to get your opinion down in the comments below. Do you have faith in any Republicans, any conservatives, any of these rhinos to actually do the right thing and protect American elections and keep the integrity going? I really appreciate you tuning in. Thanks for watching. The SAVE Act is a must. Give this video a thumbs up, like it, share it, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.